Hello and welcome to Read and Learn English. Today, you will listen to a meaningful story that will help you improve your English step by step. You will hear simple sentences, useful words, and real emotions. This story will also make you think about your own life. Have you ever had something good, but did not really care about it? Maybe you thought it would always be there. Maybe you never stopped to say thank you. This is the story of a boy who had everything, but valued nothing. My name is Arjun. I grew up in a comfortable home in a busy city. My parents loved me very much. My father worked hard every day, and my mother always took care of me. We had a nice house. My room was full of toys, books, and clothes. I never worried about food or school. Everything I needed was always there. But I did not think about these things. To me, it was normal. Every morning, my mother would prepare breakfast. Sometimes she made my favorite food, but I often looked at it and said, "I don't want this." I would take 1 or 2 bites, then leave the rest on the table. My mother would look at me and say softly, "Arjun, don't waste food. It is important." But I just shrugged my shoulders. "There's always more," I said. At school, I was not a good student. Not because I was not smart, but because I did not care. My teachers tried to help me. They gave me advice. They asked me to focus, but I didn't listen. I often forgot my homework. Sometimes I didn't even bring my books. When my teacher asked, "Why didn't you do your work, Arjun?" I would answer, "It's not a big problem." Everything felt easy to me. Too easy. At home, it was the same. I left my toys on the floor. I broke things and didn't feel sorry. If something stopped working, I simply asked for a new one. "Can I get another one?" I would say. My father looked at me one evening and asked, "Do you know how much effort it takes to buy these things?" I didn't answer. I didn't understand his question. To me, things just appeared. One day, my mother gave me a glass of milk. I took a sip, made a face, and put it down. "I don't like it," I said. She looked tired. "Arjun, you say that every day. At least finish it." I pushed the glass away. No. My father was sitting quietly nearby. He watched everything, but he said nothing. That night, my parents talked in their room. I could hear their voices, but I didn't listen carefully. I didn't think it was important. The next morning, my father called me. "Arjun," he said calmly, "I want you to go somewhere." "Where?" I asked. "To your uncle's village." I frowned. "Village? Why?" "You will stay there for 1 month," he said. I laughed. 1 month? That's too long. I don't want to go. But my father did not change his mind. "This is important," he said. I felt angry. Why should I go? I had everything here. My friends, my room, my life. But a few days later, I packed my bag. When I arrived at the village, everything felt different. The air was hot and dry. The houses were small. There were no big buildings, no busy streets, no noise. My uncle greeted me with a warm smile. "Welcome, Arjun," he said. "I'm happy you're here." I forced a smile. I was not happy. Inside the house, things were simple. Very simple. There was no television in my room, no air conditioner, no soft bed like the one I had at home. That evening, my aunt served dinner. It was rice, vegetables, and a little bit of curry. I looked at the plate. "Is this all?" I asked. My uncle smiled gently. "Yes, this is our meal." I took a bite. It tasted okay, but it was not what I was used to. I ate slowly. For the first time, I noticed something strange. Everyone finished their food completely. No one left anything on the plate. After dinner, my cousin picked up his plate and washed it carefully. "Why are you doing that?" I asked. He looked at me, surprised. Because it is my plate, he said simply. That night I lay on my bed. It was hard, and the room was warm. I couldn't sleep well. I missed my comfortable life. The next morning, my uncle woke me up early. Come with me, he said. Why? I asked, still sleepy. We need to get water. Water, I repeated. From where? From the well. I didn't understand. At home, water came from a tap. I just turned it on. But here, things were different. I followed him outside. The sun was already strong. We walked for a long time. I started to feel tired. Is it far? I asked. Not too far, he said. But to me, it felt very far. When we finally reached the well, I saw people standing in line with buckets. They waited quietly. No one complained. I looked at the deep well. Then I looked at the heavy bucket in my hands. For the first time in my life, I felt something new, something uncomfortable, something I could not explain. And I had no idea that this simple task would soon change everything for me. The sun was already high in the sky when it was finally our turn at the well. My uncle tied a rope to the bucket and slowly lowered it down. I watched carefully. The rope moved deeper and deeper until I heard a soft splash. That's the water, my uncle said. Then he began to pull the rope back up. His hands moved steadily, but I could see the effort on his face. Here, try, he said, giving me the rope. I grabbed it with both hands. It felt rough and heavy. I pulled once, twice, and then stopped. It's too heavy, I said. My uncle smiled, but he did not take the rope back immediately. Pull slowly, he said. Use your strength. I tried again. This time, I pulled harder. My arms started to shake. My hands hurt. But slowly, the bucket came up. When it reached the top, it was full of water, clear and shining under the sunlight. I looked at it in surprise. It was just water, but it did not feel simple anymore. Good, my uncle said. Now carry it. Carry it? I asked. Yes, back home. I stared at the bucket. It looked even heavier now. But I had no choice. I lifted it carefully and started walking. At first I thought I could do it easily, but after a few steps my arms began to ache. The water moved inside the bucket, making it harder to hold. I walked slowly, very slowly. Every step felt difficult. After a few minutes I wanted to stop. I wanted to put the bucket down and rest, but my uncle kept walking. Don't stop, he said gently. You can do it. I took a deep breath and continued. The road felt longer than before. The heat felt stronger. Sweat ran down my face. For the first time, I understood something simple. Water was not just there. It took effort. When we finally reached home, I put the bucket down quickly. My arms were tired. My body felt weak. I sat on the ground and breathed heavily. My cousin came over and smiled. First time? He asked. I nodded. He laughed softly. You'll get used to it. I wasn't sure I wanted to get used to it. Later that day, my aunt used the water for cooking. She poured it slowly, carefully. Not a single drop was wasted. I watched her hands. Every movement was calm and careful. That evening, we sat down to eat again. The same simple meal. This time, I felt hungrier. I ate more. And without thinking, I finished everything on my plate. My aunt smiled when she saw that. Good, she said. I didn't say anything, but inside, something felt different. The next few days were not easy. Every morning I woke up early. Every day I went to the well. Every day I carried water. I also helped with small chores. I cleaned, I washed, I worked. At first I complained. This is too hard, I said. Why do we have to do this every day? But no one answered my complaints with anger. They just smiled and continued their work. Slowly, I stopped complaining. I started to watch them instead. The villagers did not have much. Their houses were small, their clothes were simple. But they helped each other. One day, I saw a woman give some of her food to her neighbor. "Why did you do that?" I asked. She smiled. "Because she needs it." "But then you have less," I said. She nodded. "Yes, but we share." I did not understand at first. At home I had so much. But I never shared. Here they had little, but they still gave. One afternoon, my cousin and I were playing outside. We were laughing and running. I was holding a bucket of water. I had just brought it from the well. "Be careful," my cousin said. But I wasn't careful. I moved too fast. Suddenly my foot slipped. The bucket fell from my hands. The water spilled onto the dry ground. I froze. For a moment, everything was silent. I looked at the empty bucket. Then I looked at the ground. The water disappeared quickly into the soil. It was gone, just like that. My heart started to beat faster. I remembered the long walk, the heavy bucket, the pain in my arms, all that effort, gone in 1 second. I'm sorry," I said quietly. My cousin looked at me. He did not shout. He did not get angry. He only said, "It's okay, but now we have no water for this evening." His words hit me harder than anger. No water, because of me. That evening, there was less water for cooking, less water to wash. Everything became more difficult, and it was my fault. For the first time in my life, I felt something deep inside my chest. Regret. Real regret. I could not sleep well that night. I kept thinking about the water, about how easy it was to lose something important, about how careless I had been before. Back in the city, I wasted water every day. I left the tap running. I never cared. But now I understood. Water was not just water. It was time. It was effort. It was life. The next morning, I woke up before my uncle. I sat quietly for a moment. Then I stood up. "I will go to the well first," I said when he came outside. He looked at me, a little surprised. "Are you sure?" he asked. I nodded. This time I did not complain. This time I held the bucket tightly. And this time, I walked more carefully than ever before. But deep inside, I knew something had started to change. And I was only beginning to understand how much I'd taken for granted. The morning air was still cool when I reached the well alone. For the first time, I was not there because someone told me to go. I was there because I wanted to go. I stood in line quietly, holding the bucket with both hands. The other villagers looked at me, some with soft smiles. I felt a little shy, but I did not look away. When it was my turn, I tied the rope carefully, just like my uncle had shown me. Slowly, I lowered the bucket. I listened. Then, splash. I pulled the rope back up. My hands felt the weight again, but this time I did not stop. I pulled slowly, step by step. When the bucket reached the top, I smiled a little. I did it. I carried the water home carefully. Every step was steady, every movement was controlled. When I reached the house, my uncle was waiting. "You went early," he said. I nodded. "Yes." He looked at me for a moment. Then he smiled. That smile felt warm. That day, I worked more than before. I helped my aunt in the kitchen. I cleaned the small yard. I even helped my cousin fix a broken chair. In the past, I would never do these things. But now, something inside me was different. I started to notice small things. The way my aunt saved leftover food and used it the next day. The way my uncle fixed old tools instead of buying new ones. The way my cousin folded his clothes neatly and kept everything in its place. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was treated carelessly. One evening, we sat outside after dinner. The sky was full of stars. I had never seen so many stars in my life. "It's beautiful," I said softly. My cousin nodded. "We see this every night." I looked up again. Back in the city, I was always inside, watching TV, playing games, using my phone. I never looked at the sky. I never noticed simple beauty. "Do you ever want more?" I asked him. "More?" he repeated. "Yes, a bigger house, more things, easier life." He thought for a moment. "Sometimes," he said, "but we have what we need, and we have each other." His answer was simple, but it stayed in my mind. The days passed quickly after that. I stopped counting them. I stopped thinking about going back home. Instead, I started to enjoy each day. I enjoyed the morning walks to the well. I enjoyed helping in the house. I enjoyed sitting with my family and talking. I felt calm. But one afternoon, something happened that changed everything again. My uncle came home earlier than usual. His face looked serious. "What happened?" my aunt asked. "There is a problem," he said quietly. "The well, it is drying." I felt my chest tighten. "Drying? What does that mean?" I asked. "It means there is less water now," my uncle said. "We must be very careful." That evening, everyone in the village talked about it. People looked worried. The next morning, when we went to the well, the line was longer than before. And when my uncle lowered the bucket, it took more time to reach the water. When it came back up, it was not full. Only half. I looked at the bucket. Half water, half empty. That small difference felt very big. "We must use less," my uncle said. That day, everything changed. We used less water for cooking. We used less water for washing. Every drop mattered even more. I became more careful than ever. I held the bucket tightly. I walked slowly. I watched every step. I remembered the day I dropped the water. That feeling of regret came back to me. But this time, I was ready. Days passed, and the water level did not improve. The situation became harder. One evening, my aunt gave me a smaller portion of food. "This is enough for today," she said gently. I nodded. I understood. For the first time in my life, I did not ask for more. Instead, I said, "Thank you." That word felt new on my tongue, but it also felt right. That night, I could not sleep. I thought about my life in the city, the full plates of food I left behind, the water I wasted every day, the things I broke and did not care about. I felt a deep pain in my heart, not because I had less now, but because I finally understood how much I had before. The next morning, I made a decision. "I want to help more," I told my uncle. He looked at me. "You are already helping." "I want to do more," I said, "for the village." He nodded slowly. That day, I worked harder than ever. Not because someone told me to, but because I wanted to. Because I cared. Because I understood. Something inside me had changed completely. I was not the same boy anymore. But I did not know yet how this change would follow me back home. And I did not know that my biggest test was still waiting for me. The last week in the village felt different. Everything was the same, but I was not the same. I woke up early every day without anyone calling me. I went to the well with focus and care. I helped my aunt without being asked. I spoke more kindly. I listened more. And every time I held a bucket of water, I remembered how it felt to lose it. Slowly, the water in the well started to come back. It was not full yet, but it was better than before. The villagers smiled again. There was still worry, but also hope. One evening, my uncle sat next to me outside the house. "You will go back home soon," he said. I looked down at my hands. They were not soft anymore. They had small marks from the rope and work. "I know," I said quietly. "Are you ready?" he asked. I thought for a moment. Before, I would say yes quickly. I would be excited to go back to my comfortable life. But now, my answer was different. "I think so," I said. "But I don't want to forget this place." My uncle nodded. "That is the most important thing." The next morning, I packed my bag again. This time, it felt heavier. Not because of clothes or things, but because of everything I learned. Before I left, my aunt gave me a small container of food. "For the journey," she said. I took it with both hands. "Thank you." My cousin smiled and said, "Don't drop it." We both laughed, but I held it very carefully. When I arrived back home, everything looked the same. The big house, the clean rooms, my comfortable bed. But something felt different. My parents were waiting for me. My mother hugged me tightly. "We missed you so much," she said. "I missed you too," I replied. My father looked at me closely. "You've changed," he said. I smiled a little. "I think so." That evening we sat down for dinner. My mother placed a full plate of food in front of me. For a moment, I just looked at it. So much food. Before, I would eat a little and leave the rest. But now I picked up my spoon and ate slowly. I finished everything. Not one grain of rice was left. My mother noticed. She did not say anything, but her eyes were warm. After dinner, I took my plate to the kitchen and washed it. My mother looked surprised. "You don't have to do that," she said. "I want to," I answered. The next day, I went to school. My teacher looked at me and asked, "Are you ready to study, Arjun?" "Yes," I said. And this time, I meant it. I listened in class. I did my homework. I took care of my books. When something fell, I picked it up. When I used water, I closed the tap carefully. When I saw food, I respected it. My life did not become harder. It became better, because I understood the value of things. Years passed. I grew older. I studied hard. I worked hard. And one day, I became a successful man. But success did not change me, because I always remembered the village. I always remembered the well. And I always remembered the day I lost a bucket of water. Sometimes people ask me, "What is the secret of your success?" I smiled and said, "I learned to value what I have, because the truth is simple. When you value something, you take care of it. When you take care of it, it stays with you. And when you are grateful, you already have enough." Now it's time to learn some useful vocabulary from today's story. Value means to understand how important something is. Example, I value my family very much. Waste means to use something carelessly or to use too much of it. Example, don't waste water. Effort means hard work or energy you use to do something. Example, it takes effort to learn English. Careful means thinking before you act so you don't make mistakes. Example, be careful when you carry the glass. Grateful means feeling thankful for what you have. Example, I am grateful for my parents. Regret means feeling bad about something you did wrong. Example, I regret not listening to my teacher. Share means to give part of what you have to others. Example, we should share our food. Responsible means doing the right thing and taking care of your duties. Example, he is a responsible student. Now let's do some shadowing practice. Repeat after me. I had everything, but I valued nothing. I learned the meaning of effort. I will not waste what I have. Every drop is important. I am grateful for my life. I have changed. I will do better. I understand now. Thank you so much for learning with me today. What did you learn from our June story? Have you ever taken something for granted? What will you start valuing more from today? Keep practicing your English every day, step by step. See you in the next story. Goodbye.